Hello and welcome to Select 10. Today, we'll take a look at the top 10 most watched Netflix original shows in 2022. These 10 shows gained so much popularity and audience attention that some of them received 1 billion hours of viewership in their first month. And do let us know in the comments if you missed any of the shows on the list, or if you've seen them all, let us know which one you like most. Now let's start the video. Number 10. Often compared to series like Breaking Bad, Ozark is unquestionably among the greatest crime series of all time on Netflix. The series has 4 seasons, and the 4th one wrapped up the plot with a bang by garnering 282 million hours of viewing in its first 4 weeks. The show chronicles the story of financial planner Martin Bird, who oversees one of the largest criminal gang money laundering operations. However, things go haywire when one of the gang's cash scams fail, prompting him to relocate with his family from Chicago to an Ozarks holiday vacation town. Later in the storyline, as the family tries to fit into their new way of life, Martin is required to take drastic measures to protect the family. Overall, Ozark is a well-written crime drama that has all the elements a tense, gripping crime thriller should have. Number 9. The Umbrella Academy Season 3. This show keeps getting better and better with each new season, whether it's the plot, the CGI, or the strange new Sparrow Academy characters we've seen in the 3rd season. It never ceases to surprise us in unexpected ways. The core story revolves around multiple babies being born strangely to random women who displayed no traces of pregnancy, while the main focus of the story is on the 7 kids raised by Sir Reginald Hargreaves, a wealthy businessman who forms the Umbrella Academy and grooms his kids in order to save the universe. After being on countless missions and defending the world from various threats, things begin to fall apart, causing the children to go their separate ways until Reginald Hargreaves dies in a mysterious manner, forcing all of them to reunite to learn more about their father's death, only to uncover a far larger conspiracy. The great news is, the 3rd season of the show, which attracted 301 million hours of viewing in its first month, did so well that it was renewed for a 4th and final season, which will debut next year. Number 8. Virgin River Season 4. To be honest, the first 2 seasons of this feel-good drama were so brilliant and fresh that it developed a loyal fanbase for the show, which made the decent 3rd and 4th seasons a huge success, while the latest 4th season received 304 million hours of viewing time in its first month. The story is centered on professional nurse Mel, a city girl who moves to Virgin River, a sleepy mountainside community, in search of a new beginning. When she first arrives, she develops feelings for Jack, a man who owns a bar, and attempts to blend in with the others, but things take a startling turn when an unexpected visitor arrives at Mel's door. There are many flashbacks in the story that give us a glimpse into Jack and Mel's background. In parallel to this, there are other subplots, including a love triangle, a mystery about Mel's past, and others, which progress the entire storyline. Consider this show only if you enjoy breezy romantic dramas, while others may not enjoy it much. Number 7. The Sandman. With its never-before-seen magical universe, mythological characters, and mind-blowing visual effect, this show managed to draw a remarkable 393 million hours of viewing in the first 4 weeks of its premiere. The Sandman is unlike any other show we saw in 2022. It is the most unique fantasy show in recent years. The story centers on the Dream Lord Morpheus, who was held captive in a glass prison for many years by a group of sorcerers who also stole his magical tools. Initially, they were hunting for the death to trade for immortality, but surprisingly, they got the Dream. After being imprisoned for years, Dream is finally able to escape and discovers that his absence has left the world in total shambles. Dream sets off on a quest across mystical kingdoms in search of its missing items, while battling foes hell-bent on preventing him from rebuilding his dream world. If you haven't already, add it to your watch list. It's unquestionably the most outstanding Netflix show of 2022. Number 6. The Watcher. Who would have predicted that The Watcher would be one of the most watched shows in 2022? We can all say that this was not that great, but I believe that some viewers really enjoyed it because of the unusual plot. The series centers on a family that moves into a new place and is tormented by mails written by the Watcher, a stalker who has been monitoring the house for 2 decades. While the show succeeds in creating a sense of fear and making the audience feel involved in the story, it also leaves viewers with unanswered questions at the end. Perhaps they are holding out for season 2, as it has been renewed for a 2nd season. Instead of binge watching it, try watching one episode a day without having high expectations, and you might enjoy it, as the other audience did, which made the show rack up an impressive 395 million hours of viewing time in its first month of release. Number 5. Inventing Anna. Although Inventing Anna lacks purpose and has a messy story, it is still a highly interesting show full of elegance and attitude that makes it enjoyable to watch. The show follows German scam artist and imposter Anna Sorokin, who claimed to be a rich lady and crawled her way into Manhattan society, scamming resorts, companies, and powerful colleagues. Using this identity, she is able to extort millions in cash, gifts, and commodities, leaving some victims with enormous debts. The story also focuses on Vivian Kent, a reporter who is anxious to shed light on Anna's case. The main draw of the show is its immensely popular subject, which contributed to a record-breaking 511 million hours of viewing in its first month, placing it as the 9th most watched Netflix show of all time. Number 4. Bridgerton Season 2. This was the perfect treat for fans. Even though Season 2 wasn't flawless, it still managed to deliver a nice amount of intense melodrama and a sizzling romance. Once more, the show created another record with 656 million viewing hours in the first 4 weeks following its debut, moving it up to the 4th spot among all of Netflix's most watched series. The first season centers on the 8 Bridgerton children as they explore British high society and their desire for marriage, while surrounded by relatives and competitors equally. The first season mostly revolves around Daphne Bridgerton, the family's granddaughter, as she enters Royal London's competitive marriage market in an effort to find a compatible partner. The focus of the second season is Anthony, the oldest Bridgerton kid, who is looking for a suitable bride to marry. The Bridgerton series consists of 8 volumes, each of which concentrates on the romantic relationships of one of the Bridgerton siblings. Season 2 is totally dedicated to Anthony, Daphne's oldest brother. Number 3. Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Dahmer is a compelling crime story that is well worth watching, but it is also true that the topic of this series is complex and may not be for everyone to watch. In its first 4 weeks, it garnered an unprecedented 856 million hours of viewing, making it the 3rd most watched Netflix series of all time. It is a true crime story based on the real life of Jeffrey Dahmer, a ruthless killer who murdered 17 people between 1978 and 1991. The series depicts the events in which Dahmer was almost arrested before being imprisoned and executed. The story is told from the perspective of Dahmer's victims and explains how the law enforcement system's flaws and officers' negligence caused the serial killer to carry on his murder spree for a number of years. So definitely give it a look if you enjoy crime thrillers. The Marked Heart. The hero of the story is Simon, whose wife was killed so that her heart could be removed and transplanted into the wife of a wealthy tycoon. The rest of the series focuses on Simon's journey into the risky world of organized crime and his search for those responsible for his wife's murder. The show gained 272 million hours of watch time in its first 4 weeks, owing to its highly captivating story. The Business Proposal. This is my personal favorite show on the list. The main character of the show is Shin Ha-ri, who pretends to be her friend in order to attend a blind date, but things go hilariously wrong when the guy turned out to be the president of her organization. The plot of the show is extremely funny, and it's no surprise that it got 279 million hours of viewing time in its first month. Extraordinary Attorney Woo. The drama centers on highly intelligent autistic lawyer, Woo Young-woo, who struggles with social relations after joining a prestigious law firm in Seoul. The show currently ranks as the 6th most watched non-English show of all time, after receiving a phenomenal 402 million hours of viewing time in its first month. All of Us Are Dead. The plot centers on a school that has been invaded by zombies, with non-infected kids fighting to survive and flee to a safe location. Thanks to its astounding 560 million hours of viewing record, which places this series as the 4th most watched non-English Netflix series of all time, and a second season is already in the works. Number 2. Wednesday. This show surprised Netflix, as well as the audience, and received praise for its excellent adaptation of The Addams Family. The series set a massive record of 1.23 billion hours of watch time in its first month of release, taking the place of the 2nd most watched Netflix show of all time, and it's just behind the mighty 4th season of Stranger Things. The plot revolves around Wednesday Addams, who is forced to enroll in the Nevermore Institute, a school for children with unusual abilities. While struggling in a new school, Wednesday attempts to manage her own powers and chooses to investigate the town mystery, in which an unknown creature is killing innocent people for no apparent cause. I can tell you that once you begin, you will binge watch this show because of how fantastic and entertaining it is. Number 1. Stranger Things is the undisputed Netflix phenomenon. Every season of this show has broken records when it premiered, and this one was no exception. With 1.35 billion hours of viewership, the fourth season now holds the crown of most watched Netflix English series of all time. Since the group was divided in the third season, season 4 includes multiple storylines, so the initial half of the plot is set in Hawkins, where a number of youngsters are suspiciously killed. In the second subplot, Mike Wheeler travels to California to see Eleven, although Eleven is now without her extraordinary powers. The final narrative involves Joyce learning that Hopper might be living in Russia and deciding to bring him back. With incredible CGI, epic background music, and crazy storylines, Season 4 increases the stakes to the next level and is by far the best season of the show. That's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. And do subscribe our channel to see more videos related to movies and series suggestions.